the Greater Treaty. I don't know if you're familiar with the Greater Treaty, and Eisenhower, where the Greys were the aggressive aliens, and they had negative motives, all this other stuff, and an article's written, Rob, if you can pull this up, by WAPO. I think this was written in February 20th, 1954. It says Ike and the Alien Ambassadors. That's the name of the article. There you go. So February 20th, 1954. Story comes out that Eisenhower, while he's on vacation, steps out. He says, no, I got to get away from this vacation here to have a meeting with the Greys, because apparently they wanted us to stop. There you go. The 50 years. Oh, that was written 50 years ago tomorrow on February 20th. President Eisenhower interrupted his vacation in Palm Springs to make a secret trip to a nearby Air Force base to meet two extraterrestrial aliens, or maybe not. Maybe Ike was just going to the dentist. Yeah. There's some dispute about this. Anyways, and they said, hey, we want you to stop pursuing with the nuclear weapons. Give it to us. In return, we'll give you some advanced technology. Yeah. How much of this do you think is a myth? But this is WAPO writing about this. Right. How much do they think there's credibility behind it?
The only credibility I can come up with is what I heard from his own bloodline. And that would be his great-granddaughter, Laura Eisenhower, who I've been in.
Dude, Billy Carson, the way he talks, he's so confident. And I don't know if he's got lazy eyes or what, dude, but like that dead stare. It's like, man, I don't want to believe you, but I do. You know what I mean?
Seriously, almost like he's like a AI.
Right, yeah, he's the alien.
Exactly.
Many lectures and meetings with. And
you just take a scalpel and just in the room.
Yeah, and he's a like gray.
Terminator style.
Exactly.
Yep.
And done conferences with and been on panel discussions with. And she says that this information is 100% accurate and that she was told not to come out with this information. But she did, and to speak publicly about it, which she did, and they ostracized her from the family, even taking away her inheritance money. And I believe that because she was financially struggling severely at that time. And so I don't know how she's doing now. I haven't seen her in a couple of years. I have seen her online, but not in person in a couple of years. But I believe her wholeheartedly. And she had some other incredible stories to tell about the family as well that were pretty out there.
What were they?
Well, she said that they were, and I can say this because you know what? She said this on Coast to Coast AM, so I can say it publicly. She said that they sent a handler to her years ago to talk about going to a breakaway civilization they had been creating on Mars. And she thought the guy was a love interest and really falling in love. And she found out through some method or whatever that he was actually just a handler. And tried to convince her to go with him to Mars. She said, no, I'm not going to go. They tried. They kind of fought over her trying to be there. And according to her, there were only specific bloodlines or specific people with particular interests and knowledge and so forth allowed to do this breakaway civilization. And she says that she decided not to go. But she said that they are creating a breakaway civilization on Mars. Now, the reason why I believe that is because, my program that I created years ago called the United Family of Anomaly Hunters, we had been downloading images from NASA, the European Space Agency, the Indian Space Agency, China, Russia, all the publicly available images from all the space probe data and rovers. And we had been finding a lot of anomalies, tons and tons of anomalies. And in these anomalies, these are out-of-place objects, things that shouldn't be where they are. And one of the most anomalies appear on Mars, to be honest with you. And so that led me to believe that she could be telling the truth. Maybe there is something going on up there. Maybe there was something going on up there. We know Ray Brandenburg wrote a book about the soil on Mars. The REMS unit sent back data on the atmosphere and the soil, saying that there's xenon in the atmosphere, xenon in the soil. Which means it wasn't any kind of xenon, it was weapons-grade xenon. It was the byproduct of nuclear warfare. So something happened to Mars, and I think that there's a reconnaissance mission and maybe even a breakaway civilization there right now, and that the people that are traveling there in 2030 are just a front for what's really going on. There's something much deeper going on there, which is why probably it's a one-way trip. Every time you hear about these Mars trips, it's a one-way trip. They're not coming back.
Was she believable?
She was very believable, very, very believable.
Because I think she's an astrologer, if I'm not mistaken, with what she did. But for me, for Eisenhower, for WAPO to write the story about this, and, you could say, I don't trust anything WAPO says, or you could say, well, maybe this did happen, and the story is out there for people to read, the fact that he had a meeting with them. it gives me. Okay, so let me ask the question a different way from you.
Yeah.
Aliens, right? Story came out from Harvard. Rob, I don't know if you have the story or not, if you want to pull it up. Harvard researcher says aliens may already live on Earth. This came out last week. Okay, this is from Newsweek. If you want to go a little lower, zoom in a little bit, Rob. A study by Harvard social science researchers suggests that aliens may have been living on Earth for a while. The research paper, which is yet to be peer-reviewed, suggests that life forms from other worlds could be living underground on Earth or within the moon, and the UFOs and other unidentified anomalous phenomena may be evidence of them getting around. If you can go a little lower. The study suggests an unconventional explanation of UAP, with the authors of the paper hailing from Harvard University Human Flourishing Program. While researchers the factors that contribute to human well-being and flourishing, the paper has been taken out from ResearchGate since Newsweek published this article, but is still accessible using Internet Archive. That's kind of strange to take it down. What do you think about this?
It's pretty interesting. You know, I had Avi Loeb, the head of astrophysics at Harvard, on my podcast.
We had him as well, yeah.
Yeah, so
smart guy,
very intelligent guy, incredible man, and you know, obviously he had a lot to say about Oumuamua being potentially an alien craft that would utilize the sun for gravitational assist, maybe even to get to deep space. And so I think there's a lot to it. I always go back to the ancient texts. When you go back to the Sumerian tablets, again, they talk about these beings talk about.
Dude, every time he says Sumerian text, I crack up, man. He's so deep in it, man.
Yeah.
About going to the moon. Man. So they talk about the fact that they were going to go to the moon, and Enlil takes his son to the moon, and his son goes, "We must grab the eagle's masks." And because the atmosphere is fair. So they're saying that there's something wrong with the atmosphere, which we know the moon has a very, very thin atmosphere. It doesn't have no atmosphere. It's extremely thin. So they put on their eagle's masks and they get into their sky ship and forebode. So they left and went to the moon. Now, if you take the black box audio, which is available from the Freedom of Information Act to the general public now from Apollo 11, you can actually hear Neil Armstrong say something very interesting as they're going over the moon surface in the limb. And he's saying, wow, look at those convex craters down there. That a convex mean now you're talking a dome structure. He's talking in code. He said, I bet the people down there never get out. And he wasn't joking and nobody laughed. And this is available for anyone to download. It's available to the general public. And you can download the black box redacted audio printout as well from NASA. And it says the same thing. And they didn't redact those statements from that document, which is pretty interesting as well. So, he said that there were people down there that never got out. He wonders if they're ever going to get out. Now,
dude, Billy Carson as a kid would have been a funny dude to be in school with.
I know, right? Yeah, tell us one of those stories, Billy.
Yeah, come on, dude. Tell us about the aliens.
All right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like we're just smoking a bowl, and then just like, yeah, let's listen to Billy. Billy, come on, hit this.
Billy,
tell us one of your wild, crazy stories.
Yeah. Billy, been awesome to hang out with. What's that?
It's gonna called. One day I'm gonna write a book, and it's gonna be called The Emerald Tablets.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see what
if you look at a USGS.gov radar image of the moon, it had from the Arecibo, okay? Arecibo did a deep penetrating radar. There's a guy on YouTube called Mars Anomalies, and he did a great video utilizing that imagery from the USGS.gov. It penetrates 30 meters beneath the moon's surface. It looks like giant beams are there, which is pretty crazy. So, it's just like, what's going on? We don't really know. We just know that they said the moon rung like a bell for hours when they hit it. We know that it's in a very strange orbit on its axis. It's geo-locked with Earth's spin on its own axis. And it's talked about in ancient texts that people went there. And then we have Neil Armstrong saying he thinks people down there never get out. Is it all coincidence? Possible, but it's pretty interesting.
So, aliens living here. Greer even talks about that, right? He even talks about that, the fact that, is it internally? Have they been here? Have they found a way to, coexist amongst us? And we don't even know. This kind of goes back to you talking about the fact that, You know,
Stephen Greer.
Being born without a father and
Dude, that guy is like, he's just as deep as Billy Carson, man. Not in the ancient Sumerian texts, but when it comes to aliens, man, this guy's all in.
Okay.
Boom, if I wanted to do this, there's a lot of ways that somebody could, spin this to convince that they're already down here. That's believable. One may sit there and say, this sounds pretty convincing. How much proof do we have that, there's been instances or stories, other stories to say, no, there is no disputing this. That is 100%. They're down here.
Well, you just have to go again to our ancestors, because they talk about these beings walking amongst them, living amongst them. They drew pictures of them on petroglyphs, in caves, in tablets, and texts, and cylinder scrolls, and papyruses, and in scriptures. So we know the descriptions. We know what they look like. We have statues all over the world. We understand that people were here, that were humanoid, but not exactly human, that engaged mankind, which they shouldn't have, because according to these same people in the text, they say, the creator of all will punish us for what we did here. So they even knew that they were wrong, and there was somebody even higher than them. Why would somebody say something like that? I mean, to write cuneiform is a very strenuous process, to take a wooden stick and turn it into a stylus and then make a wedge in wet clay and sit there and make all these crazy lines for thousands of hours, potentially, to come up with these sci-fi stories when it's time to go out there and hunt and gather. I don't think so. I think these people wrote down exactly what they saw and what they knew. All the megalithic sites around the world are nothing more than just more evidence for us.
Such as?
Well, you have the Great Pyramid at Giza. Okay, the Great Pyramid at Giza, just look at the
Billy's about to go off right now.
Here he is, dude.
It's the pyramids.
Don't tempt me with a good story, boy.
Billy, there you go, Brett. There you go. All right, let's go.
Great Pyramid, first of all. The Great Pyramid is exactly the height of all of the average height of all of the peaks on Earth. So if you had a polar orbiting satellite that orbited the planet this way, and as the planet, spin on this axis, it can scan the planet, calculate how many peaks there are, take the average height of those peaks. That's the height of the Great Pyramid. Wow. And that's incredible. Now, you then look at the Great Pyramid and you go, man, this is really wild. If you look at the Great Pyramid, the Giza Plateau looking down, you discover that the three pyramids and the temples surrounding in that area, you can connect them by lines. And when you connect them by lines in a grid pattern and then draw circles, concentric circles that line up with all those ancient sites, you then see a pattern. You can see it's an interplanetary map of our inner solar system. The Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. If you take the NASA image, all right, of the interplanetary solar system and lay it over that grid, it matches perfectly down to the AU, the astronomical unit, if you scale it up. Now that's wild. How can that possibly even happen? The latitude of the Grand Gallery inside the Great Pyramid are the exact same digits of the speed of light in meters per second. Then go across are the exact same digits of the Grand Gallery inside the Great Pyramid possibly even happen. The latitude of the Grand Gallery inside the Great Pyramid are the exact same digits of the speed of light in meters per second. Then go across the world to Mesoamerica, which is now Mexico, to Teotihuacan. That complex is built with the same exact alignment with the Orion system as the Great Pyramid and the other two pyramids in Giza, but also the Pyramid of the Sun is exactly 50% the height of the Great Pyramid and identical to the same size as the base. Same architect, same blueprint, different location.
Why do you think that is?
Well, both the Atlantean, he calls himself the Atlantean priest king. He calls himself the son of Atlantis. See, these Anunnaki people, they were the ones who built the Atlantean civilization. He started having problems with his brother Marduk. Marduk is in the Torah. He's in the Bible. He's in ancient Sumerian cuneiform tablets. He's also
Billy.
Bro,
God.
How does he keep how does he keep track of all these references and talk about just a student of his game, bro?
I know, man. It's so deep.
And all these complex names too. The Prince of Atlantis, Arnakin.
Anunnaki.
Son of Rakapaka.
Yeah.
known to the Egyptians as Amun-Ra. Okay. And they
Amun-Ra.
started having a battle because Amun-Ra, aka Marduk, wanted to take over kingship early ahead of his processional period. And it was a big battle going on. He started two wars. He started a pyramid war to take over early, and he started a pyramid war to keep his reign even going longer. But their father, Enki, said, listen, though, go to the other side. Go over there to Mesoamerica. Let me deal with him. Go start a civilization over there. So he left, and he took Olmecs with him from Africa, and he started the Teotihuacan civilization. He built that long before the Mayans. The Mayans inherited what was already there. And you can learn that from homegrown archaeologists in Mexico. They will tell you that the Mayans built absolutely nothing. The Aztecs came hundreds of years later when a volcano erupted in their valley, destroyed their community. They stumbled across Teotihuacan as well, and they also inherited the pyramids going all the way down into the Yucatan Peninsula. And so this was built by a previous culture, and the Mayans are the ones who named them Teotihuacans. Now, what does Teotihuacan means? The city of Tahuti. Who was Tahuti? Though it's known as Tahuti in other parts of Africa, it's the same architect, the same man.
You think Billy had his own psilocybin experience?
I'm surprised that didn't never came up on the Joe Rogan podcast, you know?
I know that's a question I would ask him, you know?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Like Billy, like what's your experience with psychedelic, whether it's Ibogaine or psilocybin or DMT? Because again, it sounds like everything's all connected and all these stories. Like maybe he had an experience and was able to download this information from, old ancestral,
Yeah. Who knows, man? That's what freaks me out. Like I was thinking about this the other day when Linda, our therapist, I mentioned my buddy Matt who passed away from cancer during the session while I'm, tripping out my mind on 5 grams of mushrooms, right? And she goes, well, hey, reach out to him. You never know. I'm like, nah, Linda. Nah. I'm good. But I keep hearing that like people, they kind of reconnect with people in their life, the
spirit realm, bro.
Right. Yeah.
You got to think of that. That's where you are, basically.
It seems like it, at least, at least the ideas of the personalities of those people manifest in a way in your head.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know, man. That's wild. But like, I could see somebody that like was into that stuff would definitely just like continually go into those psychedelic states,
into the void.
Just
drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, all in, man. But then it's like, but how is that improving this existence? You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah. Seems like a struggle. All right, let's finish this one. See, Billy's got him stumped.
Interesting when you were sitting here going through all this stuff. So Assyrians, for you, he was the god of Babylon, right? Marduk.
Marduk, yeah.
So what do you know about Assyrians? You said you studied Assyrians.
Assyrian and Babylonians?
Yeah, what do you know about Assyrians and Babylonians?
Well, the Assyrians are the people that learned a lot from these people like Marduk and Sargon and Etana, Enki and Lil, Ningajita and all these other, Nergal and all these other ancient Sumerian gods. They call them the pantheon. They said the gods that came from heaven to earth, they were a pantheon, the original pantheon, long before the Greek pantheon. And that they taught them how to make weapons, how to make beer. The instructions for the first keg of beer are in the Sumerian tablets. They taught them how to build better structures, how to irrigate fields for growing crops in arid deserts. They actually, in the tablets, talk about clearing out the Euphrates and the Tigris to make it better for irrigation. All these technologies, they even have a Sumerian tablet giving to the Assyrians, showing them how to take the plow and how to utilize the plow. All this is handed down knowledge from other people.
If you saying from Babylonians?
Babylonians and Assyrians got knowledge from these people. The Dogon tribe called them the Nomo. And it's interesting that the Dogon have a similar representation of these people, but they're all the way in Africa, and they say that they came from Sirius B. Now we know that there's a trinary star system called Sirius A, B, and C. Sirius B is a failed star. It ran out of fuel. It turned into a white dwarf, just like our sun will in 5 billion years, right? We have a middle-aged sun. Now, we can't see Sirius B with the naked eye, but they knew it was there. Not only did they know it was there, but they also knew the orbital period. They knew the trinary orbiting, how those stars orbited each other. And for thousands of years, they handed down this knowledge. They even knew from the Nomo the sizes, the shapes, and even the colors of the planets inside of our own solar system long before any astronomers ever figured it out. And that's why the Dogon tribe is a huge anomaly. They used to rule over the land of Kemet before it was called Egypt, and they were overthrown, and they ended up moving out to Mali, Africa, where they still hold the same traditions till this very day. No police, no military, no prisons, just knowledge.
So if you like this clip,
man.
And this is why you don't do drugs.
Right.